you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and record. And then after we talk about our jobs, we're going to give you a scenario. So we want you to meet Tommy. We're going to give you a little scenario to kind of help frame what a young person would want to do, their next steps to getting that job. And then we're going to talk about 7 key things that you need to do to succeed on the first job. And that's going to be your resume building, communication, motivation, goal setting, time management, interview skills, and then job expectations.
So we are both professionals in our respective arenas. I've been a recruiter and in the HR and recruitment space for well over 15 years. But I had to start somewhere. And so my first job was actually at Strawbridge's, which is a local department store. And I got that job when I was still in high school. So I was a salesperson / cashier. So I worked all throughout the store in virtually every single department. But when I went through the interview process, they wanted to see certain things from me as a student. I didn't have any previous work experience, but I did have a lot of transferable skills. Some of the things that they wanted to see from me was that I was an active student, that I was able to manage my time and prioritize tasks, that I had the ability to connect with and engage with guests, and think and speak quickly on my feet, because the key element to working in a retail position is really landing a sale and selling the products. And I really found my niche in doing that, working with different people. How about you, Devin?
Awesome. So my first job was my junior year of high school. And I was a scoreboard. I was a scorekeeper at a local recreation center called Tri-State Sports Center. And I came across that job because one of the coaches at that time at my school really saw me as somebody that was dependable. You know, at that age of 16, again, I didn't have any work experience. And so what they're really going off of is your character. You know, what are the things that you can bring to the job? What are those intangible skills that you might, just have developed throughout your school, throughout, just developing relationships with other people. And so, I was able to transfer, what he saw in me in school to being able to just get a job and be able to earn a living. I don't want to say earn a living, but earn a little bit of money to be able to do the things that I wanted to do. And so I think having that first job was a great way to get my foot in the door, get some skills. But really what it taught me is that if I start at the beginning, if I develop those skills, you're going to be valuable to someone no matter what. And so those are the things that we want to impress upon you today is what are those skills that you're going to leave here today? And then hopefully, if you're joining our academy, what you'll be able to get to be able to land your first job. So we want to talk about Tommy. Amanda, can you talk about Tommy real quick, please?
Yep. So Tommy is a character that we're just going to be referring to this evening so that you can learn a little bit more about the steps that you'll need to take in the job search process and getting yourself ready. So I'm just going to read here. Tommy has a birthday coming up and he really wants to get a car, but he doesn't have any money. He's not sure if his parents have the money to buy him a car either. So his goal is to come up with at least half of the funds so that he can get the car himself. Tommy does need a job. He has always been an excellent swimmer, so he thought about it and he wants to get a job as a lifeguard at the local YMCA over the summer to help fund his dream. But he hasn't had a job. He hasn't done anything in the job search process before. What's he missing? So we think about it like this. Tommy does not have a resume, which is a key element. He doesn't know how to talk to people in a professional setting. He's not sure what's going to keep him motivated on the job and really isn't sure what motivates him in general. And while he wants money, he's not quite sure how to earn it. He knows that a job is in there, but he's not sure what will happen on the job. And then he also needs to learn how to prioritize and exercise great time management so that he can be resourceful and can be a really great asset to the Y.
Yeah. So begin seeing yourself kind of in Tommy's position and what would be those next steps for you as we go throughout this presentation?
So the first thing that you're going to want to do as you are going through the job search process and you've identified the places where you want to work, you really want to make sure that you are building your resume. I'm sure that you've all heard of resumes and you know that they are key. It's a key document that's going to really be able to tell your skills. But your resume is actually just a snapshot of who you are and really talks about what you'll bring to the table when you get into that work environment. So on this document, you should show your name, your contact information, which should be an appropriate email address, something along the lines of first name dot last name, perhaps the year you were born at. Most people are using gmail.com, but really want to keep it simple. You don't want it to be focused on like crafty girl 267 or something like what's the girl Minecraft King 105. You don't want that. You want something that's simple and professional. And then you also want to make sure that it has a brief objective. So essentially saying the type of position that you're looking for and maybe what you'll bring to the table. And then also highlighting the relevant experiences that you've had that will be important for them. So in Tommy's case, maybe 6 years on the swim team with making it from JV to the varsity team. Those are the types of things that you would want to have. And another thing that you'll want to have on your resume are references. So references are individuals who you would allow for the for the organization to reach out to really check and verify who you are and if you are who you truly say you are. The individuals on your reference should not necessarily be a member of your immediate family, but should also be someone else. And I'll go into that a little bit later.
Awesome.
So you might be saying to yourself, hey, this is my first job. I haven't had any experiences, but it's really all about how you look at it. You really should be changing your mindset around it. You shouldn't feel insecure as a student because you've had so much experience. You spent at least 7 or 8 hours per day in this environment. You're going to learn something and you're going to have some transformative skills. But when you shift your mindset around it and be able to explain it in a professional way and practice, it'll go a long way on your resume as well as in an interview setting. So I offer a couple of examples here. So one, suppose you mow the lawn at your house every 2 weeks. You could translate that to say, provided landscaping services in a residential community on a biweekly basis. See how that sounds really different and how that goes from something that could be a mundane task that you just do because you're supposed to something that's elevated that would be really impressive to a hiring manager at a company. Next, you babysit your cousins on the weekends. That is no small skill. And if you know kids like I know kids, you know that they can be a handful. But instead of just saying babysat, you can say you supervised and cared for children aged 2 to 10 years old. You maintained a clean and safe environment, and you developed strong communication and problem-solving skills through interactions with parents and children. That sounds so impressive. If I see that on a resume, I'm definitely going to reach out to that person. And next, something that you've done inevitably in school, worked on group projects. Suppose you led a group project, which is also something that we look for in the work environment. Some of the things that you could say were that you collaborated with team members to develop creative content, develop strong teamwork, communication, and problem-solving skills through project collaboration, as well as demonstrated leadership skills by taking on additional responsibilities and meeting deadlines. Those hit so many different points that would be intriguing for an employer, namely being able to prioritize tasks in order to meet deadlines, as well as being able to communicate and work well with others through teamwork.
Awesome. Great points. Thank you.
And I mentioned before references. References are really important because, or even a letter of recommendation, because they really strengthen who you are and someone else is going to vouch for you about the work that you would bring to the table without them even having to check again. So some people that can provide letters of recommendation, remember I said that they should be individuals outside of your immediate family, but you can ask your teachers. If you have a coach, they can do it. Youth group leaders, scout leaders, pastors, mentors. anybody who you've worked with and they've been able to see your ethic as well as the way that you work in a different environment would be a great opportunity, would be a great individual to ask for a reference. Coach?
So I want to talk about communication. We talked about how, Tommy doesn't really know how to speak in a professional setting. And that's something that I see with a lot of my students, their inability to understand this idea of formal versus informal communication, right? Like learning the difference between talking to your friends in the neighborhood or your family in the house versus talking to your coworkers and some of those little nuances. And so we're not going to go terribly in depth, but I do want to provide just a few examples on what those differences may be. And so, when you're talking about formal versus informal communication, your formal communication is going to use standard grammar and vocabulary. And so, when you're on the job, trying to be very aware of the different cultures or different things and really trying to be more generic with your language as to not, what's the word I'm looking for? As to not, sorry, losing my, sorry, offend someone. I'm sorry, as to not offend anyone, right? And so you want to do that. You also want to limit your conversation to work-related topics. This can be very difficult as your coworkers become your friends. And as you start to become, a little bit closer, you might have people that are similar in age, but you really got to be careful about the things that you're talking about at work and limit those things to work-related topics, because the more you get off topic, the more you begin talking about your personal life, the more those conversations become questionable. And then they begin to blur those lines of what's acceptable versus unacceptable, right? And you don't want to do that in the workplace. And so making sure you stick into work-related topics. And then using formal titles. And so it might be Mr. or Mrs. or Sir versus, hey, or, you, or, bro, you might say that to your friend. And so, you can't call your supervisor bro. And so learning to use these different titles, as you move along. When you're using informal language, you might, and this is obvious, but you might be using slang, things that you might hear in the neighborhood or things that you're using in your house. Cursing might be something that, some people do as, a form of communication. And so trying to limit those things, not knowing how people are going to react to them. And so trying not to do that, and then discussing inappropriate topics, the thing that you saw on social media that might be questionable. We also talked about with Tommy, his not knowing what actually motivates him. What is going to keep him excited once he gets this job? And we talk about that in terms of his why. Why does Tommy want to get this job? We know that Tommy wants a car, but ultimately that car is a tangible, adamant object. What is he going to do with the car? What is the thing that is going to connect him to the rest of the world? What is the actual purpose of getting this car? And so we need to begin to establish whys, when we are applying for jobs. Ultimately, and I want to give you an example. My wife and I love to travel. And while we certainly want to make an impact on this world and we love our jobs and we love doing this, we earn money because ultimately we want to be able to travel and then have our daughter experience those things as well, experience the world. And so that's where our whys come in. That's the thing that wakes us up. That's the thing that allows us to want to do a webinar, at 8 p.m. is because we ultimately know that our goal is to be able to make an impact on the world, but also provide for the things that God has put on our heart. It's evident that Tommy wants the car, but why? And so we call that our intrinsic motivation. what is inside of you that makes you want to pursue this job, that makes you want to do the job to the best of your ability, right? And so that's the intrinsic versus the extrinsic. Tommy wants the car, that's its extrinsic motivation. But what is the thing that's going to propel him to do his best? Goal setting. I think, to be honest with you, this is where a lot of people are going to quit in the game. This is where, a lot of people, when it's time to set goals, when it's time to craft a plan, this is where a lot of people quit. And so, as we begin to talk about goal setting, it's important to remember that on the way to, or like when you are trying to get to whatever it is that's on your heart, there are certain steps that you need to take to be able to get there. So Tommy's goal is to get a car, but how will he get that car? What is going to be the steps to him getting this job? And so that's going to start today. If you have a goal of getting a job, which if you're on this webinar, we're assuming that you do, what are those going to be, those steps that you're taking? What are those going to be, the measurable goals? And so we talk about this idea of SMART goals. We're not going to go into SMART tonight. That is a whole nother lesson and conversation. But SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And when you are setting goals, you want to make sure that what you are reaching for meets all of those criteria. Let's see, we have a...
That's awesome, Joey. He said he's created SMART goals in one of his classes already, or their classes.
Awesome.
Sorry.
Awesome. So you are kind of a step ahead. You already have some goals, some really tangible things that are attached to what you're working towards. So excellent job. Excellent job. So we're going to go into time management.
Yep. So time management is going to be super important and really critical to you as you are entering the workforce and growing and developing. A lot of times your first job is going to be a summer job or even a job on the weekends. So you really need to be mindful of when you're hanging out, knowing that you can't always sleep in because you want to make sure that you meet your shift at work. So it's going to be key for you to set up some systems in order to help you set yourself up for success. So what do I mean by system? Basically, a personal system or whatever works for you. It can be setting up an alarm on your watch. It can be using your phone to use the calendar and your to-do list. I know that with Apple products, you can sync them all together because if I have an alert on my watch, it goes to my phone. It also goes to my MacBook. So you can use something like that. It might be a notebook. It could be your tablet. It could be a journal. It could be anything, but it's going to be key that you identify what works for you in order to manage your time and really follow the clock to a T. I know for me at work, my work day, I get in, I give my pleasantries, and then I'm following my calendar all day long. So the same thing should go for you as you're working and you're working to really prove yourself and make a name for yourself in the position that you're going to be going for. But at work, whatever you do, managing your time, you do need to be task oriented. And those tasks that you do and the way that you prioritize those tasks should be based on deadlines that you receive. Your boss might come to you in the morning, say, hey, I need you to work on X project. But then he might say, hey, I just got this opportunity, we need you to work on it and we need you to prioritize that. So that first item needs to kind of get pushed back and you need to take over on that first one. But a lot of times people aren't going to be holding your hand the entire time and telling you exactly what you need to do and when. So you really need to put some thought into it and understand what prioritization is and prioritize how you're doing those things and when, so that you can get everything done in a timely manner.
Great advice. Great advice.
So interview skills are really near and dear to my heart. interviewing is an art form. It's what you do in order to get the job. So we talked about resumes earlier. Resumes are one component. That's what you do to really impress them visually so that they can see what you do. And that's what's going to get your foot in the door. But the interview is really what's going to get you your job. An interview is your chance to really be able to tell and showcase your skills by giving really great examples of things that you've done in the past so that they can understand how your mind works and the things that you'll do in the future. The key component to interviews, though, is really gaining confidence. Being confident, being pleasant, really being able to show your motivation and your interest and excitement in the position that they have to offer. And the way that you gain this confidence is really practicing. You can go online, you can look and find various questions that might be typical of an interview for the position that you're going for. And it's up to you to take a personal inventory of yourself and your experiences and determine which stories you want to make sure that that interviewer knows. And then you practice them so that you know those stories inside and out. You want to be able to speak to them with enthusiasm and be able to share your excitement and your motivation for that experience with the hiring manager so that when you leave, it's without a shadow of a doubt that they know that they want to bring you into their organization. That's going to be the key component of an interview skills. There's some other components to nailing an interview, and we can go into that at a later time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so after the interview, you get your offer and you accept the job and you do all of the pre-employment work. Once you step foot in the door, that's when the real fun begins and the real work actually begins, because you're going to have to learn the job and understand what the job expectations are. Each company has their own policies, and it's really important that you familiarize yourself. Policies around things like dress codes, clocking in and out, taking your meals and breaks on time, especially if you're a minor. Those are all going to be things that are important and key for you to follow. Other things that you really want to be mindful of is really staying off of your phone when you're at work, limiting your social media, definitely not uploading things from your job onto social media. Coach talked about it earlier, but really avoiding the gossiping at work and fraternizing while you're on the clock, and then making sure that you're arriving on time and staying till the end of the shift. As we were preparing for this, Coach and I were joking, and they said, hey, who wants to go home early at a job? But when you leave early, that means less money in your check if you're an hourly employee. So you really want to be mindful of that. So try and stay to the end of your shift. But then also remembering that performing well does go well beyond your daily tasks, and you're going to want to make sure that you're standing out and going above and beyond, so that if you're working through the summer, they ask you if you want to come back on your winter breaks or even the following summer with increased responsibilities and hopefully a little bit more cash in your pocket on an hourly basis too. So really just making sure that you're doing those things, taking initiative, and really maximizing your time there, because that will be seen and can go a mighty long way for you as well.
Yes. Great advice. These job expectations are so important. There's nothing that burns me up more. Well, probably there are other things, but when I go into the store and I just see kids so disengaged with their job, or if they have customer service and they have their earphones in, or there's so many different things that just don't lend to being or representing a good engaged employee. So I love these job expectations. Great job. So why are these things important? Why is it important for you to internalize these 7 things that we gave you tonight? It's simply, many kids don't know where to start. To be honest with you, if it wasn't for the opportunity of just somebody coming up to me and offering me, a job, I wouldn't really know where to start. I wouldn't have known how to get my first job. And so, I didn't have access to webinars like this. I didn't have access, to a coach or to, an Amanda who is in the industry to be able to provide this information. And so, this is why it's important to get on here, to get this information, But also, many parents, while they want to be able to help their child get the job and help them interview, they simply don't have the time or maybe don't have the skill set. And that's okay too. I know that, as much as my parents wanted to help me, get to the next level, they sometimes had to put me in the position to do that. They put me in the position to be in front of other people or to get that help elsewhere. And that's where we can help. We together have over 30 combined years of educating and recruiting. And we have the knowledge and the skills to be able to help you land and keep the job that you want. If you are like, hey, I really want to go into this industry, we'll be able to give you those step-by-step coaching to be able to help you do that. And so we have created the Next Gen Workforce Academy. The Next Gen Workforce Academy is exactly that. It is a workforce academy, is where you go to learn how to get that job, how to meet those goals that we talked about. And so, sorry. So what is the Next Gen Workforce Academy? So it's an investment in your child's long-term future, right? And so thinking about, when I think about the opportunities that my parents provided, they spent thousands of dollars for me to travel and play baseball all over the country and to do different things and go to private school to be able to hopefully get to get this information in hopes of getting a job, and didn't necessarily know where that would go. And so this Next Gen Workforce Academy is that investment in your child's long-term future. The Next Gen Workforce Academy is a platform that allows you to develop the skills you need on demand at your own pace. And so Amanda and I have recorded videos, just like we did this webinar right now. We have recorded videos. We've done presentations and uploaded them to a platform so that you can go online on demand at your own pace and check out all of this information and get those skills, right? Learn to practice your interviews, get the interview questions ahead of time to be able to master those. It's a series of instructive videos from people who have already done it, people who are currently in the business of instructing you on how to ace the interview and what managers are looking for, and then what do they want you to say. And then you also have me, an educator of 15 years, who is excited to teach you about the mindset, the goal setting, and the intrinsic motivation. And what I talk about is the mindset, the skill set, right? And then the tool set to be able to be successful. And so the platform is this. It's 7 plus modules that teach you all of those things that we just talked about. So it gives you the resume template and instructs you, teaches you step by step where to put the skills that you developed, how to reword the skills that you developed, right? It talks about the communication skills, how to develop those skills, and gives you opportunity to practice. It provides the motivation that you need. And we talk about smart goal setting, and it was great to see Joey talk about those skills that they've acquired already to be able to set those goals. We talk about those intangibles of time management and interview skills and job expectations. We provide you all of the templates you need, and then we give you access to our exclusive list of employers who are hiring. We've been fortunate enough to be able to place people all over the city. Just recently, we had 2 people that were working at Sadiq's fresh fruit water ice for the summer. We've had people in local retail stores and help kids to get into just really their first jobs at a variety of different places, whether it be a daycare, whether it be even setting up and starting your own business. We can help you do that as well. And then finally, you actually get access to a catalog of 5 additional courses that will help you to level up in other areas of your life. Your wellness, physical, mental, and social well-being, your self-confidence, and also your bet system. And so betting on yourself when we talk about decision making. So what is it? The investment for the next gen workforce academy. So it's normally $297. It gives you access to your online on-demand portal. You go at your own pace and you have lifetime access. And so anytime we're going to upload new content, any new stuff that we get, you get access to this from today on. It's normally $297. Today it's $147, and we'll put that link in the chat. If your parents are watching or if your parents are there, these prices are only available on the webinar because you took the opportunity to invest in yourself and give us 30 minutes of your time. We want to provide that. In addition, right, to having the on-demand on go at your own pace portal, we also are going to offer coaching. And so you're going to get a weekly coaching call where you can come on and practice your interview questions, where you can learn additional tactics to be able to get that job, where you can ask questions about how to get the job, right? Like that is the most important thing, is your ability to be able to ask those questions. And so that the next gen plus the coaching would be $497. Today it's $247. And I just want to show you really quickly. So we have given you different options, right? And so go here. And so we have different options. I'm going to go ahead and put this link in the chat, but we do have different payment options. And so maybe you don't want or don't have all of that right now, but you do want to be able to take advantage of it. You have different payment options as well. You can split that up into multiple payments. But I'm going to drop that right now, right there. Again, we want to just be a resource to our young people. We recognize that these skills aren't always taught in school, right? You don't always have the teacher that is going to sit with you, take time with you to go through, help you find the job, answer the questions, practice your interview skills. And so we want to be able to offer that opportunity to you. This is an 8-week course, right? And so over the course of 8 weeks from whenever you sign up, you'll have access to the academy for a lifetime. But over the next 8 weeks, you'll be able to get online, do a coaching call with us every week. And we're going to answer all of those questions that you have to get that next job. Amanda, do you have anything that you want to add?
I was just going to add that it's really an amazing opportunity to be presented with a platform that you can go to at your will and be able to work at your own pace. But then it's really access to the knowledge through the coaches that are available to you. So, for example, Devin or Coach Buchanan is a seasoned educator as well as a coach. And I've been in the recruitment world for many years, so there's pretty much nothing that I haven't seen. And I've heard what to do, the right answers, the wrong answers. I've seen the do's and I've seen the don'ts, and I'm really excited and eager to share those with everyone who wants to participate in Next Gen Workforce Academy.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm going to, again, I put that link in the chat. Again, as I said, the opportunity to join is always there. If you're looking for the opportunity to be able, to level up and ensure that you have those skills to be able to get your job. Many young people going into high school can get their working papers, can get these jobs, and they are just lacking a few of those skills to take them to the next level. So go ahead, click the link, register today. That'll shoot us an email, and then you'll have access to all of this stuff, and then our coaching calls each week to be able to level up. We want to be able to open up right now to a Q&A. So I am going to, if you want to come off of mute, I'm going to stop the recording. If you have any questions about